Good afternoon, my name is Margaret Abels. My house number is number 28 Hill Road, Bonteheuwel. With the parted years, I was moved from Salt River to Bonteheuwel. That was in the 70s. I started up here from my age of 4. I already seen this because my mother, if she didn't vote, then they had to come, the police used to come and pick her up. And that is how we grew up. I had 7 brothers. My father left my mother with all the 7 children, and he went off. And we were so poor. Starting my life at the age of 4 years old, I used to go scrub the floors for people. I used to go and ask people for bread, old bread, stale bread, so that we can feed my brothers, because my mother was the only sole supporter. She was a single parents. Then my grandmother said to us that we can't stay like that in Fracketon. We will move to Fracketon from Salt River because it was dangerous. It was just like bush. We had a shack that we stayed in. And then she said, now I'm the only girl with all the brothers. It was all boys. I had to go in the afternoons. I was just a baby. It was still a baby, 4 years old. My eldest brother, he was 7 years old. And we used to go and carry water in Maitland Cemetery just to get bread's money, even if it was 2 slices of bread, just to get something for the pots, because my mother had to work for us. And whatever is that she done for us, you know, it's hard so to sit here and to talk my story, because I wanted to do it a long time already. And raising 7 children, it wasn't easy. And then my grandmother said, we must come back to Salt River, and we went back to Salt River. But every year, when it was voting time and she doesn't vote, then the cops came and they lock her up. And that is for 2-3 days. And the grudges that we grew up with our apartment. Because my mother to go to jail every time, and we sitting without a mother. And luckily my granny said we can come and stay there. Otherwise, when we were in Fracketon, we had to do it on our own. And by the age of 12 years old, I couldn't take it, because I saw my mother. She was crying every night, coming home, crying. She's burned here. She used to work in the Nusi laundry. She's burned and we had to cry with her because we never see her. And I mean, we were still children, 7 children. It wasn't a joke, because we were step by step. And what was the sorest part for me always was, if she comes home, I mean, that money that she get, it was only £1, whatever, for 7 children, to raise 7 children. And then I just went out one day, and I thought, she used to tell me, your brothers must take wives, they must go to school. You're going to take a husband, he got to work for you. And then I thought that day, no, I'm not going to school. Because then I was at that time in primary school in Windermere. And you know, I had to steal train every morning, run to the station, get in the train. Or otherwise I got to run back, come back to Salt River. That was my passion that I had to do every morning. And one day I just decided, tomorrow I'm going to go out, I'm going to look for work. And I went to go wash cars just to get something extra for my mother, because my brothers must go to school. And there was a guy that was working in Woodstock. And he said to me, but you can't work like that. I mean, you're still a child. And I said to him, but I must work, I must clean windows or something for my mother, to help my mother. And he was crying with me, because I was crying. I said to him, you know what, maybe you don't know what it is, but I know. How to go sleep without food. My granny had 18 children in her house, because she had all my mother's sister's children also there. So we were 24 people in one house. And it was only my mother that was working and my grandfather. Imagine, my grandfather was at the church He used to clean the church and the schools and the church. And I just thought, and then this guy said to me, but for a girl to wash windows and clean wherever you can, don't think that's right. Do I want to work? I said, yes, sir. And he said to me, the only thing that I can do now, I can take you in, but you're only going to get R1. And I said, no, it's fine, every day R1, it's going to be a lot of money. And he said, no, it's only once a week, because that is what I get in the factories. And he said to me, are you willing to do it? And I said, yes, anything, anything. And he took me in that factory, and it was a leatherworks factory. And I worked in that leatherworks factory from that age. I used to stand on 2 benches, like little benches, just to turn the purses around. That was my first job that I started with, cleaning the purses and turning it around. And after that, I was about 13 years old, and then he said to me, now you can go on a machine, you can become a machinist. And I just wanted to put myself in to help my mother. That was my only thing, focusing on something that I wanted to do. And he gave me all that opportunities. Without, nowadays you must say, this degree, that degree. Without anything, knowledge, nothing. And I went on that machine and I started closing bags, no more purses on the bags. And then after that, he gave me a cutter job. And I went to go cut bags. And after that, he put me on a closure. Now I got everything in the leatherworks. And then by the age of 16, he said to me, Margaret, I've given you all these opportunities. Now you're going to open your own banking account. I said, sir, banking account? Yes, It took me to go fetch my ID photo. That time I used to get it from 16. And he said to me, from today onward, you're going to stand on your own feet now. And I started with that 150. It was 1 point. And the opportunities that he gave me, it was just going better. Then the age of 16 years old, I started cancer. But I never knew I had cancer in my brain. It was because I used to like to swim and netball. That was my sports. That was my whole passion that I did. And then lumps came out here, and that boss said to me, no, you can't work because this bags is big bags, it's traveling bags that I'm working with. Go and see the doctor. And he took me by the hand and he said to me, I'm going to take you to the doctor. And I said, no, you can't go, because I thought it's my breast now. And he said to me, I'm going to tell my wife then. And his wife came, and he was one of the Israel for Jewish people. And she took me to the doctor. And you know what, God's willing, they paid for that whole, everything that I went through, they went through with me with this cancer. But that time they never told me it was cancer. They just told me it was lumps that they're going to take out. And it's so strange, taking out the lumps, but they never told me cancer. They told me they're just going to put me on this antibiotic and the drips that they're giving me in, and he paid for everything. That was at City Hospital. And that man was so good. He said to me, Margaret, if you come out of this hospital, and when I came out of that hospital, and I never knew it was chemo, I got so thin, I was size 26. Here was nothing. That is what chemo do to you. And then, going on, by the age of 18, I fell pregnant. And they were so good to me. They helped me through that, all that. And what I always say to him, I can't touch my mother's money. That is all my mother's money. And then my husband said to me, no, he's also from Salt River, he was also from Salt River. He said to me, we're going to get married. And we got married. And 1968, I got married. And Then his mother said, no, our house is too full, my granny's house is too full, I must come and stay there with him. And I went to Percy Street, so Brummel Street and Percy Street is just 2 streets. And you know, in that area in Salt River, it was like, if they hear about Percy Street, the people was always scared for Percy Street. Because my mother and my grandfather, they never liked that street. Because that was, they used to call it the Kasbah Street. And when I moved in there, they were very against this thing. And I said to my granny, well, what I did now was wrong, but still I'm going to be as a child that I used to be. I bring my packet clothes to her and my mother's money, and that is how we. Then the apartheid came in. Then my boss said to me, Margie, your house is bulldozed. They bulldozed our first house, number 23 Percy Street. Then they gave us another house, that was 1972, also in Percy Street, but that was actually a stable that we lived in, me and my husband. Then my mother-in-law had to move because I told her, they threw this first house off, the 23, so we must move now. We must see because it's only a 2-room house in Hanover Park. Then we moved in there by the stables, but the stables was 8 rooms, so I had a house with 8 rooms in. And downstairs by me was also people in the stables is. And you know, staying there, and you know, in that area that I came out with, it was really, it was gangsters, but they had discipline. You know, it was like, we were like family. Everybody knows each other. They will take you from here till there, wherever you want to be. They know we were very religious. They would go with you to church, come back with you to church. My grandfather used to pick them all up, come from Brummel Street up to Percy Street, just to keep that street in order, because they used to, you know, they gamble, there they sit and play cards, and there they sit with the dominoes, and they were very active in things like that. So they were never up to mischief, but they had their own little corner with them. But with this, the second time, when the law just came in and said, all of us must move, you know, that was the saddest part for us. They gave us 9 hours. And by that time I had 3 children. The one was on school, the other one was in creche, the one was, and you know what? And we thought, no, I'm going to work, I'm not going to stay at home, because I can't afford to stay at home, because my husband used to work still for his mother, and I used to work for my mother. We can't stay at home. But then when we came home, someone phoned me and told me, I must just see what my place looked like. And when I came home, my boss still brought me home. He was so shocked, he cried. He said, Margaret, this whole building is going to fall in. I said, but where am I going to go? He said, no, I'm going to go to your priest, I'm going to speak to him now. And he went to our church, and when the priest came, then they started with the black chests. The black chest was, and they still in Cape Town. They at the church and Helen Sussman, she passed on here. She was the one that came to us. And she said to us, whatever you got to stick out, I'm getting the stuff. And we got out only half of our stuff, right? Only half of our stuff. And you must know, my mother-in-law lived all in Boya. Everything was in Boya that time. And it was all that whole and clothes. And that 9 hours came, and she came, my priest came, and they actually took everything to the church there at St. Luke's Church. And then we came back, then the whole riot, you know, that time they had that riot uniforms on. And they were standing there with machine guns waiting for us to come in again. And they said to us, only 2 hours now, and you must be out, you must move. Then my children came out of school. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. Because all these guys standing around us with all these guns. And they're giving us, and then the bulldozer came. As we were standing, looking, that bulldozer just came, and in a minute, that whole building was gone. The people downstairs by me, the lady used to work for European people. She was so charming that day. I couldn't even find her, because when she came back, there was nothing. My dog, my cat, everything was gone. And you know what? And on top of that, when we got this place to Bonteheuwel. Then I came to Bonteheuwel. I don't know where did I get this house, but the black chest helped me. And then when I came to Bonteheuwel, I first came to come and check out the areas. That's why the one lady staying in, they wanted to give me that house in Apricot Street. It's a 2-bedroom or so. But I thought about the age. That's why I took the measurement in Yellow Street. And I gave them, because I could have choose. And then I said to Auntie Mata, you can stay there. I'll take the stairs up and down, because we used to do the stairs already. And then the other lady that also stayed there, the policeman, he got a house in Netrekweg, number 1 Netrekweg. And that is how we came in here, 1979. And when we came here, the only people that I was linked up with was with a few people that I met here on the center. And I looked at this post office, and I was sitting and standing, and where am I going to stay now? And I'm waiting now for the council. It wasn't this council office, it was a smaller thing, but in the front of it. And this guy came to me, this Mr. Grootboom, and the other guy was also sitting there, Mr. Oliver. And they said to me, you look so strange. I said, yes, I'm just checking out this area, because my house was bulldozed yesterday. And I was crying, because it was like something that, like a sandcastle that you just pull and then it's gone. And I was sitting and I was crying on these two people. And then they said to me, don't worry. And I said to them, Helen Schussman is going to come, because she's going to bring all my furniture through, and she's going to come and speak to the councillors here. And when I came here, the councillor said to me, it was a Mr. Joseph that was here, and he was so nice. He said to me, you know, you're going to make something out of Bonteheuwel, because I can see you're a strong woman. And he said to me, you know what? These people, they are trying to do something in this area. That's why they're sitting here. And then from gathering, I got this house, they came to help me, and that is how we started. And then in the 80s, we started the parents, teachers, students. That is how we started to do something in the Bonteheuwel. And then from a few people, it was just the teachers, so the school was with us, the youth was with us, and the SRCs. That time it was the SRCs though. And then we started the advice office in Bonteheuwel. And the advice office was here, number 13, here in the center here. And then Dr. Wessing also pulled in here, one of the doctors. He used to pay our rental for the money, for the advice office. And then from the advice offices, we did a big, massive thing. Then it was Mitchell's Plain, Bonteheuwel, Langa, Nyanga, Guguletu. Then we started an umbrella, the whole Bonteheuwel. Then we started something in the Bonteheuwel, and I was speaking as a chairperson of Bonteheuwel Association, Bonteheuwel Civic Association. And I was here in this office for 10 years. And for that 10 years, I can tell you, we had so many things going on, because for the youth, we could have walked over here, over this bridge. We could have gone from this area to Netrekweg, bring that children from Netrekweg to Bonteheuwel. Saturdays they can come together They play soccer, indoor soccer winter, indoor cricket, indoor. Here's nothing no more. So I don't know what happened about that, you see. Then I started up joining things. Then we started the UDF. And that is how we supported each other. Then after the UDF, you must know, then we started fighting again. Then in the 80s, then it was a riot here and everything, and I was one of them because then I was detained. My children didn't see me sleeping out with Johnny Issel, had to squat on here on Epping Forest with the, that is how I got so many burn marks from running to the police, shooting, and you know, and I was one of them. I struggled in this Bonteheuwel to get people because parents didn't want to see riots and stuff. It was stone throws. That was the only thing. The cops used to come in, kick our doors off because they knew that was my house and they knew the students. That is where Ashley Creel come in because I'm near to Bonteheuwel. I'm just opposite Bonteheuwel. So whatever happened, they know the children are running there because that is the open door. And that is why my back door, I don't want to change it because that is history. It's still broken. But that is my history. That is history there. That is why I never made away with that door. Because it's still here. You know, and if the cops come, they used to throw that like glue out of the helicopter on that field there by me. On Geelhout's field. Just to get the children. Yeah, children, it was really, that time in the 80s, Langa used to come over to us. If you don't want to riot, you got to stand with a candle or something. Otherwise, they used to come over to Bonteheuwel. But we united, we got united together, we stand. And that was one of our, and freedom, for freedom we were standing in this Bonteheuwel. And, I mean, there's nothing now. I don't know what's happening now from that time till this time. I joined up with the governing body, with Bonteheuwel, and I'm still involved with Bonteheuwel because that is my passion. My children went there. I was on that governing body, but in Kader Asma, he came in and he said, when parents haven't got children on the school anymore, then they must get off from them. And that was so sad for me. Because working as a governing body, I even built a wall that I wanted to call Ashley Creel. Then the teachers stopped me because they said, nobody knows Ashley Creel. But that was the history from him. He went to school there, he fighted for the rights for Bonteheuwel. He was shot dead. And that was so sad when I got that money just to build that. I wanted to see something, and then the Satanists came in 1999 on that school. You see, Satanists must be there. And then I just thought, 1999, I thought, now, my son is now finished matric. Thanks God for that. He did his matric there in 1999. I was on the governing body. Then the teacher said, no matric ball for them. Because there were Satanists also on that school. And then I took the initiative to give their children a beautiful matric 1999. And out of my own pocket, I bought each a champagne glass with all their names on, with Bonteheuwel, with 1999 on it. And that is for me so proud because I see guys that's down to earth. But they will always tell me, Mrs. Abels, do you know what? I still got your glass. I still got my matric glass. Now what happened? Why did they go to drugs? You know, from 1999, just that time, it started that whole school was like, it's drugs, it's taha, it's because the governing body that they got now, and putting us off that had their children under control, that was the saddest thing for me. Because after that, that school, we just went off. That school is my passion, that Bonteheuwel. They fenced that whole school. They just come and take everything off. It's now for scrap, and it's for tip now. There's nothing on that school now. We were busy now that school, they murdered 5 people on that school ground or something. I mean, in that short time. And I took the initiative to go to I said I was going to go to Ross, the people that put the pipe, I don't know, that sand that they had, that was the bush, it was bushes. And I came to law enforcement here with EPW just to ask them for help. Because I cried out, because people was murdered on that field. That is now 2 months ago. I had to fight. Why must I fight for the community? I mean, I'm doing it for my children, for my grandchildren, and for other people that's getting robbed. And people see that. Now that I took that initiative, now men want to come and take it out and make it a soccer field. You see, that is, yes, power struggles in our area. What you start, they put you off. And that's why I just thought, but it's my community. That's the most important thing for me. The community that I'm staying in. And I was going to stay in this community. I was going to stay in Cape Town. From Cape Town, I came to Salt River. From Salt River, I'm in Bonteheuwel. And this is now my passion that I've got in Bonteheuwel. Not to give up. Never give up. And that is what I'm telling the youth. I'm doing there, I've got all my diplomas without education. You can see there how many diplomas I've got from the varsity. I'm taking the 40 students every year in this community. But now with all these drugs and things, I left it for 2 years, I told them. Because they rob, it's people from, I mean, you know, students, it's from all over the world. And one day they robbed someone just in the mosque. And I mean, that is pathetic. And I said, no, now I'm finished with the 40 students. What I want to do is, I'd rather go and speak to them at the University of Cape Town, and that is my talks that I'm doing. I'm working with cancer people, because that was my husband's legacy. When he passed on 2012, he was crying on that bed. He was standing on Table Mountain. He was shouting, I've got cancer, because men are so scared to talk about cancer. And when he went to Galay, when he got so ill, he went to Kuritskia, and he said to me, Margie, I want to talk to people. I want to tell men what is cancer. I want to write a book. And he said to me, but if I must die in this hospital, I want you to go on. And I said to him, where am I going to get a taxi fee if you're going to die? He said to me, don't worry, God provides. And you know, that is something that he wanted to do. He wanted to work with men, just with cancer patients, because he knew what was cancer. And when he passed on, before he passed on, he made this, he prayed every morning for everybody in that wards. Every day I'm there, 8 o'clock in the morning. I leave there 8:45 at night, because my son was on the varsity. Then I've got to wait till when his classes is finished at the varsity. Then I've got to sit from the morning, and they allowed me, because I used to help the nurses, giving food for this one that can't lift him up, and I will give, and he will stand up, and he will tell me, okay, I'll give that one. That kind of person was my husband. He was a lovable person. And the Sunday before he died, he still had he cracked a joke. He said there was 2 Parkers. One was from Nigeria, and the one is from Mitchell's Plain. And you know the Afrikaans that he's talking. Dr. Parker, can I feel it's from? And Dr. Parker said to him, yes, he can talk. He said, you see, there's 3 boxes with blood. And he said to the doctor, doctor, bring me that one box to the one from the Nigerian, Dr. Parker. Doctor brought him his blood. And he said, what do you want to know? He said, I want to know what kind of blood is it. Is it pig blood? Is it you know? And they were laughing because they said, Mr. Abels, you're so sick, but you still cracked that joke. And he said to him, now why is it that everything must be halal? And here is a sign. There's no signs on the blood. And I mean blood runs through your veins. So what is the difference here between the halal sticker and the blood that's not allowed sticker on. And I was sitting there and I said to him, and he said, no, I've got my democratic right. I want to know. Did they ever check that out? What is allowed and what is unallowed? And I said to him, but you're so sick and you still... And the doctors, and he said to the Nigerian doctor, because he said that in Afrikaans, and he said, no, you can translate to him now what I said, because that is also taal. Afrikaans is also taal. And then when he told this doctor, he laughed, and till up to today, when I walk in there, and Dr. Parker is a doctor there, then he laughed and he just shook his head, and then he said, if you put the veins in by the people's blood nasal in Horuskeer, and then he said, oh, remember what your husband said, it will be, that is his legacy that he left behind for the Muslims now. Like, he's a Muslim doctor, that other one is a Muslim doctor, and nobody even thought of something like that. But yeah, he could have done that to him. And the prayers that he always used to pray for the doctors before they put in the vein, like in your veins, the blood, then he will always pray, doctor, let me just pray on your hands, and because we're so sore, we can't even stand that needles anymore. And then he said to me, now from today onwards, you're going to work with those doctors and that nurses, and that is what I'm doing. There you can see all my diplomas that I've got from Horuskeer. I'm doing volunteer there. I've got a support group running there every week. Tuesdays and Wednesdays at Horuskeer Hospital. I'm working for cancer as a volunteer also 8 years now. I've got my own patients that I see to every single day. If they got porridge, if they can take the chemos, because they get tablets, it's 20 tablets worth for chemo. That's also chemo, if they can't stay in hospital. And there's sometimes, if I walk in at people's houses, there's nothing. Then I've got to come back to my house, take whatever I've got, just go take food, so that that person must eat to have that chemo. And I said, this thing from the cancer, I will never ever give up. Because that is his legacy that he wanted me to do in the areas, giving people, and that is why we're giving people, sharing with people, love people, go to people's houses, sit there. If the people haven't got something in their houses, they will just go, just see where's Auntie Maggie. Is she back from hospital already? There's always something, and I must thank God for that. Because even my son, he's an NPO now, he got his own, he's a DJ or so. So I must thank the Lord. I've got a son like that. You don't get children like that. My daughter, she's 46 now. But do you know, she still gave me a half of a salary. Do children still give you that? And she was a married woman, they shot her husband. They shot her husband dead. And they said he played Russian roulette. And that was so sad. And my husband said, she's not going to move from my house. She's going to stay with her 2 daughters. Now she got another son also, so now we 5 in the house now. My son only got engaged now, so I don't know when he's going to get married. I'm not going to push him. And, you know, that is how my children is. And I must thank God. They never went on drugs. I mean, you know children, they can do anything around your back. That's why I always say I'm proud of my children, because you don't get children that still get money. He will phone me, he will say, Mommy, what do you need in the house? What must I bring? I'm here in this shop, I'm here by this vegetable. Then I will always halt, I'll tell him. But if he brings the stuff, I always make packets and share it with the next person. I will always do that, because we believe if you give, you receive. And that is how I open my doors for all my children. And you know, that's why I say, there's no children that haven't got mothers and fathers. It's just what the children do. That's why I will never say the gangsters. Because they're not gangsters. They came out of a mother's womb. And where I can see, I can uplift them. I will call them one side and I will tell them, do you feel like doing that? Do you want to be there? There's a lot of guys that was helping me now with Bonteheuwel, and they call them like gangsters. For me, it was There was a stipend. They used to get 100 rand for a day. And now they're looking after that area. That is just, for me, I changed them. There's no more dumping there, you know, because this whole Bonteheuwel now is dumped. There's dumping spots here, dumping spots there, dumping spots. Because there's never someone from the councillors that come around and see, oh, look at that dumping, the rats are there, the dogs are there, they just throw it in. Now that is what I'm doing. Whenever we two women, and two women can change this whole Bonteheuwel. And every time if they look for something, like Zorita said to me, she's going to come, they need 150 youth for Saturday. Is it Saturday the 11th day? So we are struggling now to get youth. We went to the schools. Children is not interested in that anymore. Okay, the matrix is writing now. So they got school every Saturdays now. But I mean, they're standing around here on the corners. We just want to make something different. And that is where the councillors come in. But if we come in that councillor's office, it's almost like death sentence if they see us. Because I'm still fighting. Here's so many projects in this area. Look at that center. This is Freedom Square. What is here on Freedom Square? We were fighting for Freedom Square. Here we got the Freedom Square. What is on this Freedom Square? 4 benches. Nothing is happening. Where is our youth? Isn't there someone that can come here and they see how many youth are standing around on this corners, on that lane, by that school? Get all of them, do something for them. Even if it's only a 60 rand a day, I guarantee you they will work for that. But now they've got nothing, now they're going to drugs. Drugs bosses is pulling them in. I mean, we see it. We see it. It's like we must live with things like that. People see where they keep the guns, they won't explode. Because they're too scared. Why must you be scared for people that grew up in front of you? You can't change anybody. You know, I'm so proud what I'm doing in my community. Yeah, I've got this thing now, this project now, from the varsity. I just hope they're going to give it to me. Just to get youth out of this Bonteheuwel. Take them somewhere, see what they can do in other areas. I mean, yes, work in our own area. Why don't they give it to the youth? My granddaughter's also matric, there she's sitting at home. I mean, it's unreal. They just tell them, bring your CVs in, they throw it in the bin. That is what we all know, what they're doing. They don't even have, they ever got the decency just to phone and pick up the phone and say, you're unacceptable or whatever. They just throw it in the bin as soon as you come. There was jobs here at the city, here by the city. It's only people that they know. I mean, nobody comes in there. People was filling in forms every year. You must come and renew it now. People come to me, they run to me because they know I've got this project from the EPW. People come to me, they ask me for work. I told them I haven't got work. If EPW doesn't phone me for work, then I haven't got work for you people. So where are we going to start giving youth? Instead of going on drugs, get the indoor soccer, get the street committees together again, do something in Bonteheuwel again. I mean, Bonteheuwel was so beautiful, but look at the break off. They rob the people, now it's hijacking in your area. Now the other night they were shooting with a machine gun in our street. People know what it is. Well, they got tell the people, the cops. No. I mean, Bonteheuwel, we can change Bonteheuwel. If everybody stand together, we can. We're doing marches for what? For nothing. Churches is small, nothing happened. Now, a few weeks ago, we went to the parliament for nothing. As seniors come through all these things, They break in there by the retirement cottages. I mean, there's no securities for that people. If that people get stabbed, what can they do? The one can't help the other one. Here they shot a guy, there we got our garden. We got a garden here. We're working in our garden here. All our vegetables also go to people that comes past and see. They ask us for something, we give it to them. But we're all doing it out of our own pockets. There's nobody that comes, or like the councillors come and see what you're doing in these areas. Nobody sees that. Nobody gives you a stipend or say, we'll give the compost, we'll give the seed. We must buy it all out of our own pockets. And we're two ladies. I mean, but that's why I say, ladies can change men. Because nowadays the woman must work for the men. And that time it was the men must work for a woman. But now everything has changed now. Now the men is looking after the children. You can see it. If it's here, Shasa Day, it's pathetic. They come and draw the money with the person, with the girl, with the girlfriends or whatever. Now the girls all got 3, 4 children, then they're the age of 20, 21, 4, 5 children. I mean, what is happening? Why can't somebody do something in this community? Now children must come and knock. I used to knock on the doors for other people. But that time there was nothing, there wasn't concept. Now everything is free for children. The education that they get, it's a lack of everything.